Moon in the 11th house. Okay, so with the moon here, we're talking about friendships, we're talking about networking, we're also talking career. Similarly to the 10th house, we're talking career, we're talking about the money that you can receive, we're talking about humanitarian causes, we're talking about technology. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the friendship aspect. You are somebody who is very good in groups of people. You understand the dynamics of a group, and you know how to take care of the interests of a group, and you have really the best of intentions and the best wishes for your friends and for the groups that you belong to or might find yourself in. Like I said, you work really well. You should have quite a bit of personal popularity, and it's likely that you're drawn to people who have some sort of a cause or belief. You might be drawn to somebody because you have similar beliefs, or because you have similar humanitarian kind of beliefs. You might be drawn to people who are also quite eccentric, quite artistic, who are quite interesting in the way that they think. You like to keep a variety of people around you, and you like to mix with people of all different backgrounds and cultures, and you're a very open person in that sense. And for you, friendship means a lot. Friends are like family to you, and they really hold a special place in your heart. And this is a really lovely thing, but at the same time, this can also be a little bit of a sore spot or an Achilles heel, because you're very, very receptive to what your friends think of you, and you're very sensitive to how they treat you. And of course, we human beings aren't perfect, and people will make mistakes, and people might not do things the way that we would do them ourselves. And unfortunately, this can sometimes mean that if a friend doesn't call you back, or, if, I don't know, they cancel an appointment, your feelings might get hurt more so than, say, the average person. You'd be quite sensitive to that kind of a thing. And you're also quite sensitive to, like I said, what they might think of you. Obviously, we all have our sensitive areas, and we just have to accept them and work with them. At the same time, what I will say about this placement is because you can sometimes take on or worry about what your friends or your circle kind of think, or how they feel about you, and whether they're really kind of caring about you or really being loyal to you, there is a chance sometimes that you might alter yourself to kind of fit into group situations. You might lose a bit of who you are, and in a way, not in any kind of contrived way, but it's more because of the fact that you care so much and you're very receptive in that area. You might find yourself kind of almost not standing up for yourself when you should do, or being a little bit too allowing, or just allowing other people to get away with things which maybe perhaps they shouldn't do. And it can cause some insecurity on your part, if you allow the people around you, and you allow your friends to almost direct how you feel about yourself. It's not really a good place to be, because people are fickle at the end of the day, and at the best of times we all are. And so there's a sense of learning how to draw some boundaries in a way, and you need to learn that you can have friendships, and you can be loyal, and you can be a good friend, but at the same time, you are allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to stand up for yourself if you feel like someone's treated you unfairly. And your friends' opinions and how they feel don't need to translate into how you feel about yourself. So it's just trying to strengthen up who you are as an individual on your own, and not allowing yourself to take on too much influence from other people, which might be a hard thing to do, because the moon is very receptive, and we tend to be very influenced by the house that it sits in. So it's learning to kind of stand on your own 2 feet in a way, and be a bit more emotionally independent, but yet still maintaining these friendships. In terms of what you might like to do in the world, like I said, you'll probably be drawn to humanitarian causes. You'll probably be somebody who's really interested in giving back to the world on some level, or supporting some sort of a cause. It could be that you end up working in that kind of an area, or it could just be that it's a hobby and a pastime, something that you're passionate about in your spare time. Communication, I think communication over via the internet. So something like this, YouTube videos, or, you know, sharing information with people, and being very receptive to information. I could see that perhaps figuring in what you do as well. You're definitely somebody who feels very deeply the plights of others. You're the kind of person who, say there's an advert that comes on TV and it's about, I don't know, like a catastrophe that's happened abroad, and you're watching it and you'll probably get very moved. You can almost, your heart just goes out to people, and these kinds of causes really move you, and that's a really beautiful thing. So you have a lot to offer there, and you might even meet great friends whilst you're volunteering or doing work like that. In terms of your mother, I would say that with this kind of a placement, it can go, I imagine if the moon is very supported in your chart, then there's probably a very friendly bond between you and your mother. You probably have quite a cool relationship in the sense that like it's not very stifling. It allows quite a bit of freedom between the two of you, but you're almost like friends. You know, it's very friendly, you know you're there for each other, but it's in no way suffocating or crowding. And that's if the moon's quite supported. You know, I'd also say that she's likely to have given you some really good and sound, I don't really want to say morals, but almost principles, sound principles to live by. She has instilled really sound principles in you that you stay with you, and they might really affect the way that you lead your life and what you decide to go into career-wise. If the moon has a harsher aspect, there is the possibility that your mother could be somebody who is quite distant, quite at a distance from you, and there might be a physical distance, or it might just be that there's an emotional distance on some level, that there's just not a connect somehow, because of whatever circumstances that took place in your childhood. Sorry. Okay, so what else have I got? Just trying to think, what have I covered? In terms of romance, I mean, you're somebody who's quite, like I said, career driven. You're quite driven to give and share, and it's about what you do in life. Obviously, love is important to you too. In terms of romance, I'd say the kinds of people you're probably attracted to are probably people who think quite differently. People who are quite humanitarian themselves. I would say you'd probably be attracted to men or women who are of quite a high intelligence and think kind of outside the box, or not like your average Joe, perhaps, you know, who might be quite into consciousness raising activities, you know, and you might have really interesting conversations with them about the world and the universe and spirituality and human beings, and, you know, just us as a species and what we're like. That might be the kind of person that really fuels you, and you might get a lot of satisfaction from those kinds of conversations with somebody. Just trying to think if what else there is. I think we've covered most of it. There is a possibility that women may assist you in your career, because the 11th house does also relate to career matters. So it could be that women assist you in getting to where you want to go. I imagine that somehow you will be drawn to lines of work that involve networking in some way, whether it's networking, whether you are literally somebody who works for a company and your job is to network and to use Facebook and Instagram, things like that. But I imagine somehow you will use networking in your job if you choose to focus on career, because you just have a knack for networking. You know how to meet all the right people without even really thinking about it. Instinctively, you know how to reach people, and this all all merges with you knowing how to kind of take care of the group dynamic. You just got a good feel in terms of these things. So that's something that will really help you in whatever area you decide to rest your focus.